Yeah, the two big things that sell media is fear and anger. And so they're going to perpetuate that as much as they can by sensationalizing, twisting, editing, biasing the intel so that they can create fear and anger because that's what sells.
The media did exactly, Jack, what you just outlined. They did exactly that through the whole COVID crisis. The media was the linchpin of creating an environment, an atmosphere of fear, number one, and anger, number two, and division, number three. The media was primarily responsible for dividing us and having us attacking one another. You got the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. Those who love their neighbor, those who don't. And it was all rooted in fear. It was out of that milieu of fear, that Virgil and I, number one, produced our Just Thinking podcast episode titled Why Are You Afraid? And then a book by that same title that resulted from that episode. Because that 2.5-year window really reveals some ugly truths about the church. And one thing, and this is just Darrell Harrison speaking, one of the observations that I saw was how easily professing Christians could be manipulated by a narrative that the media was putting out. We had Christians living in fear, sinful fear. There's legitimate fear, but we're talking sinful fear. Sinful fear in the context of that's contra to what Jesus says in Matthew 6, where he says 3 times, be anxious for nothing. But we had professing Christians buying into this narrative of fear to where they were absolutely had no idea where to turn. Where to turn. Now, Dr. Jack preached on that this morning out of Daniel 3. He asked the question, when you're facing a situation or circumstance where, such as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego face, but only metaphorically for us, where you're in a fiery furnace, who are you going to call? He used the example of you walking outside to check the mailbox. All of a sudden, this fierce pit bull is running towards you, chomping at the bit. Who are you going to call? Are you going to call on the name of the Lord Jesus in that moment, or are you going to stare down into the teeth of that pit bull? You see, but we had countless numbers of Christians looking at the pit bull, looking at the COVID pit bull, as opposed to looking at the sovereign providential Christ who, according to Ecclesiastes 7:14, creates opportunities of prosperity as well as creates opportunities of adversity. And the media pounced on that. Hence, we had churches closing their doors for no other reason than they were afraid. Now, come on, let's be honest, y'all. That's why many churches closed their doors. They were afraid. And as a result, we had brothers and sisters fighting against one another. This was an ecclesiastical civil war that was going on. All because we listened to the narrative of the media and we didn't trust the God of this book. We didn't. But Jack is absolutely right. He nailed it. Check the boxes. Fear, anger, and division. And that happened over the COVID years, all in that order. In that order.